Hey everybody, it's 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning, so it is time for Chopping It Up. Today's guest is one of the people whose stories builds as you climb it. My guest is Chris Pelonis. Right here at home, right in Solvang, California, Chris owns Lost Chord Guitars, beautiful and intimate music venue right here in Solvang, built by someone who truly listens. If you grew up in Southern California, you may know his name another way. Chris is the Chris in Chris Pitts BBQ. As a Bellflower boy, that hits close to home, which means he didn't just grow up shaping how things sound. He shaped up how generations remember how things taste. You climb a little higher, and you'll find him on stage, a working musician on his own right and a guitar player with Jeff Bridges, the dude. Well, where feel and tone matter more than flash. And at the top, Chris is an elite audio engineer, designing rooms and systems so sound tells the truth. Not louder, not truer. Chris, this isn't an interview, this is a conversation. So if you're sitting in your car right now or sitting at home, pull up a chair and listen in. Be the third person in this room. Chris, welcome to Chopping It Up. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Keith. Thanks so much.
Great
to be here.
How do the mics sound?
Oh, I like these mics.
You like them?
I do, yeah.
Awesome.
In fact, I've got, there's an alternative to this that a lot of people use.
I knew we were going to get into this immediately.
And they're great vocal mics.
Yeah.
And this is one of the mics I don't have, but I got to get one.
Okay.
Because it's this or the Shure SM7B, which is the one with the big foam thing on it.
Got it.
But this is an RE, I forgot the name of it. But yeah, they're great.
So Chris, let's start in the beginning. Okay. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Downey.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody told me I was actually born in Southgate, but I mean, I was born in Long Beach, but I was in Southgate for about 2 weeks, and then moved to Downey.
Got it. And so, what was your family doing down in Downey?
Well, my father started Chris Pitts BBQ.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of them.
Very familiar.
I mean, I think he opened as many as 14 altogether, and there were 12 going at one time, and I grew up working in those, kind of parallel to everything else that I was doing. And it was interesting because I couldn't stop the music thing. That started when I was really young, man.
Really?
Really young. Like I took piano lessons when it was like so young, I can't even remember. My sister came home with a nylon string guitar, and I stole it from her. Mm-hmm. As a little kid, I was like 5 years old or 6. I took it, and that was it.
Okay.
So, so that always, paralleled everything else I was doing. But yeah, my dad had the restaurants there, and he had the barbecue. At that point, he owned the barbecue sauce, which he developed for many, many years. I think in 1969 he sold that. So
that's a little piece of lore in my family, because we had Chris Pitts right over there on Bellflower Boulevard, and we'd go over and pick up barbecue, and our kids and stuff. And my old man said it, and you brought it up real quick, which was, I think Chris Pitts was like the first barbecue place that actually sold their barbecue sauce on a grocery store shelf.
It's true.
Is that?
It is.
Okay.
And also,
that's kind of an In-N-Out level thing. You know what I mean? It's like In-N-Out made the drive-through. Yeah. Chris Pitts was the first people that made barbecue sauce that you could buy on a store shelf and make your own barbecue at home.
That's true. And it was also, for a minute, or maybe half a minute, for a very brief period of time, when it first went out, we outsold ketchup.
Whoa. No, okay. Wait, whoa.
Yeah.
So you are your first name, Chris, on Chris Pitts.
Yeah,
okay.
That's my dad's Chris.
Also. That your dad's Chris as well. Okay.
Yeah. He was expecting me to do everything he did, which we carried it on, but it was his everything, man. He was so passionate and so brilliant about it.
Your old man was bigger than Heinz 57 at one point.
For a second.
That's amazing.
It was like this very brief moment of like, I can't remember. There was a little blurb somewhere. Well, what he used to do is he'd go all over the country, and he'd go in front of these supermarkets back then.
Yep.
And supermarkets back in those days, they were really kind of mom and pop.
Yeah.
Even though they were chains, they were owned by like people that you could get to.
There was a Ralph and Ralph's.
Yeah. And fast forward, I'm going to come back to this thing though. I mean, all those cats were like in my living room when I was a little kid. And my dad and mom were entertaining him, trying to get him to buy more sauce.
Sure.
So, but anyways, he would go with like all kinds of barbecue sauce, and he'd sit in front of the supermarkets, and he would give away bottles of barbecue sauce. Just give it away like a lot.
Yeah.
And it was a big investment. You know, people were like, I mean, everyone kind of, everything he did against the grain, which, by the way, that's me too.
Got it.
You know, he ran all of that stuff independently. It was never franchised. He did it all by himself. He was one of those super brilliant guys. His desk looked like something blew up, but he knew where everything was. You know, one of those guys. But he would give away this barbecue sauce, and it caught on. It's really good. It's legit.
Oh no, we would buy it as kids.
Yeah, it's the best. And Chris and Pitt's restaurants were, and I think still are, the most authentic Austin style barbecue anywhere in California. And they got quite, as you know, we're about the same age, I think. Right?
Yeah, I'm going to be 50 this year. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm a little okay. Well, I'm 67, so I don't know. Anyways, but back probably somewhere between you and your dad back in that era.
Exactly right.
Where all of LA and Orange County was like, it was what was happening. You know,
we
had them in Van Nuys and Hollywood and West LA. There's 12 of them simultaneously, I think, was the most we had going at one time. And yeah, so it was kind of,
that's so cool.
It was kind of interesting, you know. And my dad went to Austin, and he hired the best, the hotshot pit boss in all of Austin, Texas. Flew him out. They developed the menu and the recipe, and he was going to be the. This is a crazy story, but I'm going to tell it because I started already.
I love it. Okay,
and
I'm sitting back.
As the story goes,
and that's the rest of the story. Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy was awesome. You know, he was the guy in Austin. So my dad flew him out, and they developed this whole recipe and menu and all that stuff. And said, "Okay, man, I'm going to start this chain of restaurants. It's going to be real, and I want you to be the guy." And the guy went back to Austin, quit his job, packed up, and died.
What? You got to be kidding.
No.
So your dad's just lost at this point. Like,
well, he
has the recipe.
He did it with him, like he knew what to do, but he wasn't thinking he was going to be the pit boss and he was going to be the chef and all that. But that was it. It's like, well, I guess it's me. So he became the pit boss of California, the all-time barbecue guy, really, and built these restaurants with the authentic.
I still see the sign. You know, like the wood sign with some neon on it and the whole deal.
And the hand-built plate steel.
Yep.
Barbecue pits. We still use real hickory wood in there. And the whole
you could
thing.
Smell them could smell them from blocks away.
It's totally legit, you know, and I don't think too many people do that anymore. A lot of people
cut corners. Oh yeah.
Smoke flavor, or else they put it in the smoker for a minute, but they don't really smoke it. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm always having to go down there and kind of tune up the guys about how to smoke the stuff.
So you're still involved?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
There's only 2 of them left. We had a third one that we sold the property on that one. Oh no, I mean my sister and I. She's much more hands-on, but I'm more on the technical side in the back because I was in the kitchen. I was a cook.
Really?
Yeah, I was the guy back there cooking steaks and preparing all this stuff growing up in high school and after high school.
Awesome.
And then I was a general manager, and I was, you know, chasing around from place to place.
Okay, so you're involved in the barbecue, right? You're doing all of this stuff. What makes you make the hard right turn into music?
Well, it wasn't even a hard right. I was always doing music.
Okay.
And I think maybe I was telling you earlier, my grandparents had Revel's Restaurant in Hollywood. And attached to their building was this recording studio that they rented out to a guy named David Hassinger. Okay.
This is
David Hassinger.
I'm excited about this story.
So Hassinger was like a nuclear physicist turned recording engineer producer. He was doing the Rolling Stones and you name it. And he was just a badass engineer.
Yeah.
My aunt was dating him. So,
and what was the name of the studio?
The Sound Factory.
The Sound Factory.
The Sound Factory. Yeah.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. You know, so I was like 7 years old, and the Stones would come into my grandparents' restaurant, and Keith Richards would give me guitar picks and stuff. You know.
Really?
We had to close. They had to run everybody out.
What year was this, by the way?
Oh, I don't know. I'm 60 years ago.
Yeah. So this is the Stones when the Stones became the Stones.
That was it. But they blew up so fast that like my grandparents would have to close the restaurant so they could come in and eat.
No kidding.
And they'd call and have my mom bring me down. Oh, the Rolling Stones are coming in. Bring Chris down. And,
Okay.
You know,
This is peak. This is literally peak Stones.
exactly.
Awesome.
And,
Awesome.
You know, I remember I was kind of scared because Mick was, you know, his pupils were. And I remember the first time they were in there, I went and hid under a chair. I didn't want to talk to them. They're like, no, they're in here. They really want to talk to you because they know you're a guitar player. Because I was playing already.
Yes.
You know?
Okay.
And Keith was just laughing at me because he just could see that I was kind of freaked out. But he gave me a guitar pick, and Mick signed. They all signed an album, gave it to me, which has been stolen since. But whatever.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Somebody.
They can't steal a memory.
Oh no, they can't. But anyway, so here I am, like really young, and I'm at my parents' house, and David's over.
Okay.
And he says, "Do you like the sound of the drums on Satisfaction?" Because he won a Grammy for that, you know.
Okay.
And I remember sitting there thinking, well, yeah, I do. I was a huge Rolling Stones fan. I knew who they were before they even came here. Somehow I saw some weird thing somewhere.
Sure.
Telling her, the Rolling Stones are coming. They're like, what?
And if you just give me a second, like you're also talking about an era when fidelity, right? This is getting a little bit in the weeds, but like when you drop a needle on a record, you're hearing everything. I mean, it's
a different thing.
Totally uncompressed. You're putting a needle down. You're playing it through a hi-fi system. You're putting it through like tube amps. I mean, this is literally the golden era of music.
It really is. You know, it was much more of a where people had a little bit of focus and they could listen for more than 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, it was really like watching a movie. You sit down and play an album. It was like watching a movie, you know.
See, I'm old enough of just really remembering putting on headphones, listening to an album or getting an album, right?
Right.
And before I could drive. That's a good era for me, right? Because if I got an album that my parents may have,
or a 45,
or whatever it was,
I wanna hold your hand.
Perfect.
I had that 45,
right?
Yeah.
I remember putting on headphones because if I wanted to listen to something and not bug everybody else, I put on headphones. I'd sit back. I would like almost close my eyes, turn off the lights, put on a record or music or whatever, and be fully enveloped. Like listen to something from the beginning all the way to the end, flip the record, put it on a tape.
Yeah, then these things happen.
Exactly. Right. And we were having a conversation how one of my buddies, had Pet Sounds locked into a truck. Right. And that was like for a full year when he's driving us around, all we did was listen to Pet Sounds. And it went from just listening to the Beach Boys to like hearing all the bits and pieces of that album.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's the point of sitting and listening to it all the way through again and again and again, because it's, I mean, it's a weird, I'm not trying to make this analogy really, but it comes to mind. Like I read the Bible.
Sure.
And I'll read the same page 4 times every day. And
Absolutely.
It's like, whoa, that meant something different today than it did yesterday.
Agreed.
And or even later that day, it's like, wait, did it say that? How come I didn't get it that time?
I always describe the Bible as the book you could put in a vice, and the harder you squeeze it, the more comes out.
There it is.
There you go.
But yeah, I think music, like I'm still listening to, I was just listening to one of my songs that I sent you, Country Girl, on the way over
beautiful.
Here. Oh, thank you. And I want to get back to the David Hasser thing, but basically the nuance, it's like, oh man, I got away from it, and then I listened to it, and Greg Leese, it's just me and Greg on that one. He's great pedal steel. He's the greatest, really, I think. And there was such a magic moment through that moments. I think the whole song, it just glued. We just glued. Mm-hmm. And, when it was happening, I was listening to it. It was like, okay, that's a good mix. Yeah, good take. And he was happy. And then I went back and listened to it, and it was like, oh, no, it wasn't just good, man. It was like we really
nailed it.
Yeah, we just were really glued, and it's probably the longest session he's ever done for one song. He just kept going, one more.
Got it.
And I was like, man, they all sound great. So, no, I want to do one more. And then he goes, okay, that's the one.
Got it.
He did the same thing we did, Helpless with Michael McDonald and Greg and his wife, Mai, who was Crosby's bass player. And they both play with Jackson now, but I produced Mike's latest album, Mike McDonald's, and it's only a little bit of it's out. There's a duet with Willie Nelson out called Dreams of the San Joaquin, a couple other songs, but the whole album will ultimately come out. There's a remake of Neil Young's Helpless.
Yeah.
Helpless. And Greg and Mai and Michael played it live. And Greg, you know, it was like the third take. He's like, I want to do another one. And Mike and mine were pretty much, every take was really the same. And then Greg just, something happened, and Mike and I both just looked up and went, like, he is going to say that's the one. He goes, that's the one. And they're like, that's the one.
Got it. So go back to that studio, you being a kid.
Oh, so David's asking me if I like these drum sounds, you know? And I said, I really do. He says, you want to know how I got those? And I'm like 7 years old or something. And I'm looking at him. All I remember, and I remember it like it just happened. I remember looking up at him and thinking, I know this is important. I got to really pay attention. And he started talking. I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about.
It's like a core memory moment.
But I knew I had to remember. And he said, well, I was in the basement at RCA, and I put the drums all the way to one side of the room. And the room was kind of long and tall. I put the drums all the way over there, and I put one mono, and I want to say he's, in my mind, I think he said Neumann U47 or Telefunken U47, which is like the holy grail of mics, and I actually have one.
Okay.
So I put that all the way at the other end and way up in the ceiling.
How big is this room, by the way?
I don't know. You can Google it. The basement at RCA, big. It was
like a warehouse.
Well, it was a big room. It was probably a couple 3,000 square feet. I don't know.
Okay.
But it was big.
So basically the music or the sound is traveling all the way across the room to hit the mic.
And that was the only mic that he used. He said that's the only mic on the recording is the mic that's up there on the other side of the room.
So we're really talking about like almost spatial audio way back when.
Well, you know what it is? It's truth, because phase and the time arrival of sound. You know, if you get like these speakers right here, I also make speakers. You know, you got a tweeter up here and a woofer down here.
Yep.
So depending on where you are, the tweeter is going to hit you first before the woofer or after.
Yeah.
And that causes phase distortion.
Yep.
So when you have a mono microphone and it's out there catching whatever it is, it's actually catching all the sound as your ears hear it. So it's very natural. You don't have any phase. That's my dog tap dancing. Sadie, lay down, girl.
So when you're discussing that, one of the things like I have always enjoyed is like certain albums sound like they're meant to be listened to on headphones, right? And then there's other albums that I've listened to where you feel like you're sitting in the room, kind of like this, and hearing Sadie walk around, and it kind of fills up the entire room with all these different pieces of sound, and it's more or less you're sitting in a chair inside of a live performance,
right?
And those ones are the ones that I always go back to. It's like, you know, Dark Side of the Moon or this kind of thing where it's like, it feels like something.
Those are so classic. But the idea of like early Elvis Presley, man, he had a ribbon mic right from him. He's singing, playing the guitar into that one mic. And then, you know, fast forward, that stuck with me. He said, yeah, man, just that one microphone and putting it in the right place and understanding the acoustics of the room. And he went through this whole thing about, you know.
Yeah, it's trying to download into a 7-year-old.
And
right?
he did it, though.
Yeah.
You know, because it really stuck with me. So fast forward, you know, I'm playing music and I ended up writing some songs, and I saved up some money from working at Chris Pitts. I went down to Hollywood Sound Recorders, which was kind of next door to the Sound Factory. Sound Factory and Revell's. Sound Factory was still there, but it was bought by Sunset Sound. Revell's restaurant was gone. My grandparents sold it. David ended up, that's a whole long story, but he lost it. Basically, he had some problems.
Yeah.
And anyways, so I ended up going and recording a few songs at Hollywood Sound Recorder, and the guy's like, you want a job as a producer here?
So they just said, do you want to be a producer?
Well, he heard what I was doing and what I was recording, and I was just trying to make a record and get a record deal. And he's like, well, yeah, we'll help you. We'll shop your deal. But, you know, I've got this record company and this publishing company, and you know how to produce. Did you know that? And I said, I didn't even know what a producer was. But apparently that's just what I know how to do instinctually. And, you know, I was like, you mean I'm going to get paid to do something in music? And I got to learn from, I mean, this is a studio that Prince would record it in, Michael Jackson. I met Michael McDonald there, who's on my new single. That's how far back it goes.
Yeah.
I was like 22 years old when they hired me there. So I had like the best recording consoles, the best mics. I was watching and learning from the best guys around. And I had the experience with David Hassinger.
And just soaking it all up.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I was recording on old Neve consoles and API consoles, and anybody out there in the recording business, y'all know what I'm talking about. You can just Google Hollywood Sound Recorders and the original Sound Factory. And, I mean, I just got blessed into being in these places. So for about 4+ years, he'd tell me, go out and find a song or find an artist. We got this movie deal that we got to get some music for. And I also ended up being a session player because I could play about everything,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I had my own room studio there, and I knock on the door. No, Sadie, come here. Sorry. Come here. Lay down, girl. There's no one knocking on the door. She's a healer, Lay down. Good girl. Anyways, some like guy would be there, You got a bass with you? I hear you can play bass pretty good. It's like, yeah. And then I end up, playing bass on a record or guitar or singing or, whatever. And so I made money as a session player.
Got it.
It was surprisingly more keyboards and bass. But I mean, I'm a much better guitarist than I am those things, but I had all the rigs, I can play, I'm a good bass player.
Yeah.
But, Abraham Laboriel was also around, and he's like, those guys.
Yeah.
But I could play well enough, to do what cats needed, and I could play guitar real good, and I could do vocal arrangements and harmonies and all that stuff. And
you understood the way it was going to sound at an end product.
Eventually, I got to be a pretty damn good engineer. I was learning. I ended up making my first album, in that era, and I played every instrument, and shopped it. But back then, it was like you kind of had to really be somebody's nephew. I mean, there was so much incest going on there, or nepotism, and all the above, whatever.
Right.
So I was like, well, screw it. I can play everything. So I played every instrument. I wrote all the songs. There's one vocal on that record.
What's the name of the record? If anybody wants to look it up.
Chris Andrew, Hit and Run.
Okay.
And I took it off the market, but I got a bunch of calls lately from a couple labels that want to re-release it, and I may re-release it. I got a bunch of vinyl still.
Yeah.
But it's it's up on YouTube. Somebody put the whole album up there, and it's got some.
Hey, you might as well get paid, man.
Well,
come on.
Yeah, but but anyways, there's one song called "Go Back," which I'm putting on my new album. I have a reinvented version of it.
Yep.
And Mike McDonald's. I did a lot of the recording at Michael's studio. In fact, I think I recorded the whole thing there. Come to think of it, and his wife, Amy Holland, who was a Grammy nominee and signed to Capitol Records. And she's like, oh, I really like that song. I said, great, sing on it, And so she's the only other person on the whole album is her.
Cool.
Singing, go back where you can. Cool record. Anyway, so that was my era of like and I was like one of those guitar slinger guys. Back then, man, you had to be super like perfect.
Yep.
And, there was a lot
time
of
is money.
Drum machines and everything was like in perfect time. And, this is kind of a quick overview of how I went from 10 mics on a drum kit to one mic on a drum kit.
Right.
Back to Hassinger when I was 7. But all of a sudden you had all these tracks and you could, have 1 or 2 mics on the snare and a couple on the kick and all the toms and everything. And then you'd sit there and go, oh, I want those toms to be louder. So you push the toms when it comes. Then you pull them back. Then you had automated boards that would remember kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as Pro Tools now really remembers, but those boards were mechanical, So it's like, and somebody, it was actually, I'll tell you who it was David Manley of Manley Labs. He was he's passed now, but Manley Labs makes amazing recording equipment. And he and I met early on, and I got like his original prototype microphones that are legendary mics, and anyways, he came over and he said, that's not even stereo what you're doing. I said, well, yeah, it is. He goes, that's mono panning. And he was this very crotchety South African dude, he drank a little too much. He goes, it's not stereo. Let me show you stereo. And he showed me something that he had recorded with one stereo microphone in the room. And it's like, you want the bass player louder? Bring him forward. You want him panned over there? Move him in the room. So everything moves around. And the Jeff Bridges Be Here Soon record was recorded that way.
Really?
Yeah. And if you listen to that, I left the mic in the same place. I brought people in.
Yep.
And, I had like horn players. Okay, now put the sax over here now. And the drums were just a stereo over the guy's head. So it sounded just like he wanted it to sound. So it's very, very real sounding.
So you went from production, and then when I kind of first got to know you a little bit, you were building studios.
Yeah, that sort of happened after the hit and run album, because it was real. Back to that. So I made the record. I did all my own artwork. I met the guy that ran Warner Electric Atlantic Manufacturing. He's a pilot. I'm interested in flying. I ended up getting a pilot's license. We became friends. I guess I can say it now. I'm not. I basically got cut in line to get my records pressed faster, even though it was a small run.
Yeah.
And then I got them in the stores, and it ended up being in heavy rotation on like the biggest stations, only in LA and California. K-Tide played it.
K-Tide, 95.5 KLOS.
They played it. Kiss FM played it.
Yeah.
K-Rock played a lot, but it was like really happening. All of a sudden I'm getting these phone calls. The radio stations were giving my number to A&R guys from record labels going, who's that guy? Because it was getting a lot of requests.
Yeah.
It's this is a tangent, but there was this singer that I was producing named Amy Cannon.
Okay.
And the song, I cut this song for her, and she was...
Okay.
I want to say...
Yeah.
But she was just so good.
Okay. Got it. Right.
I'm trying to watch my language.
Yeah, we're on the actual radio.
Yes. I understand. Yes.
FCC.
Yes, I know. That's why I stopped myself, because I've done this before. But she was just so good.
Yeah.
And so I cut this song for her, and I wrote it for her.
Yep.
And it was time for her to come and do vocals, and we had all kinds of label interest for her. My record was like, he's just another dude that plays guitar really good and sings.
Okay.
And all that stuff. So it was an easier shot for her. And then I'm like calling her and leaving her message, hey, ready? She just disappeared. So I'm like, I'll put it on my record. I already got the thing cut. So I sang her song, and that's the song that got all the attention.
Really?
It's so different than my record, but it kind of got people paying attention. She called me a couple months later and said, hey, Chris, it's Amy. I said, where are you? She goes,
where you been?
Oh, yeah, man. Sorry about that. I go, well, I sang your record, and it's getting kind of played on the radio, so it's cool. She's like, oh, well, yeah, I married Mick Mars. I'm in Motley Crue now.
Are you serious?
I'm like, oh,
great.
Okay. Anyways, that's...
By the way, I love these stories. These are so great.
Well, I got a whole bunch of them, like I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but there's some funny Hollywood stuff.
Okay. Throw it out there. We got time.
Well, I don't know. I might get back to some of that. But anyway, so that's how that song, it kind of caught on, and they put it on the radio on like a Jock's Pick thing or something.
Yeah.
And it lit up, and people were like, who is that? That's cool. And I was like, I didn't even really like that song, but okay. And then I'm getting phone calls from
Ride the Lightning,
guys
man.
From the radio stations. And one label was like, we're signing you. And then I got a phone call from one of the PDs saying, hey, I really love your record, but I'm getting too much pressure. David Bowie just came out with a new record.
Sure.
Oingo Boingo came out with a new record. So basically the real estate's gone.
Yep.
And it's like, I can still spin you in lunar rotation, but it wasn't going to be
play.
Like, it was one of those things where it was like, all of a sudden these record execs were calling me, like kind of almost, not harassing me, but they were aggressively calling me.
You were taking up their space.
And well, no, they were calling me because they wanted to sign me.
Got it.
And then when the radio play started diminishing, it's like I'd call like, hey, so what about it? It's like, oh, he's out of town. And that was it. I couldn't get a hold of him anymore. So, I put it out by myself, and I sold a few thousand, maybe 5,000 records or something.
Awesome.
But I still have a bunch of vinyl left because
I'll buy one.
It died so fast.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh. So I just said, I'm just going to take them out of the stores. I'm going to quit working it, and I'm going to work on another record. And that's when, I decided I was going to build my own studio because I didn't want to be beholden to anybody for studio time. Studio was real expensive back then.
See, this is what's so interesting about you.
By the way, I also quit my job at Hollywood Sound, so I couldn't cut there anymore.
Got it.
I quit my job there because it was like, man, I'm playing all these guys' records, and I'm making some money, but like they're going out on tour and having all the fun.
Yeah.
So I quit. I cut that record at Mike's, and then it was like the Spruce Goose, and it didn't fly. And maybe it will one day still. It's very typical 80s, but So anyways, I decided to build a studio. That's how I got into studio design, because I needed a studio that was deadly accurate. I was so obsessed with knowing what I was recording.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't want to go over to someone's house and have a big surprise, or hear it on the radio and go like, oh, what is that?
Perfectionism.
And, yeah, so I built and tore down my own studio for 5 years, and I invented like a low frequency device that's still the best one in the world. That got me into acoustical devices, and I taught myself architecture and drafting and construction management, electronics engineering, so I could design my own speakers, electrical and mechanical engineering, so I knew how to make quiet. You know, I'm a college dropout. Like, I taught myself everything.
This is incredibly fascinating to me, because like when you're talking about, you know, going from working at Chris Pitts, right, to
slinging beans,
yes,
I used to say.
beans, right, and then making your own album and working, you know, as a producer. But then this transition is fascinating to me, because now you're picking up a brand new set of tools. Like, if somebody can play the guitar, they can play the guitar, and they kind of lean on that for the rest of your life. But you're the kind of person who, you know, levels up and levels up and levels up. And now you're building studios and all over the world. Is that correct?
Yeah. And I never wanted to. Okay. I was just doing it for me. Yep. I just wanted to have the best control room. And I'll never forget.
You're the race car driver that built his own race car.
Yeah. And I'll never forget, like, like a lot of guys that I had worked with and stuff, they got record deals. They call them like, hey man, I got like $100,000 from the label to help put my studio together. You know, can you help me? And I'm
can
like,
you come over?
And I was like, no, man, I'm busy. I'm making a record. I'm trying to get a deal too.
Yeah.
And, and I would get these like gigs, or somebody would hire me to do a single for their label, and they throw me a little bit of money. It's like up and down, up and down. Mm-hmm. And I kept saying no. And then I started saying yes, because I needed money.
Sure.
And I knew that I had really had something with this low frequency thing. It's called the Edge. It's now manufactured by a big, acoustical manufacturing firm who used to be my competitor. Mm-hmm. And then we became friends. He's a NASA scientist, very cool guy. Anyhow, so I started saying, yeah, I'll help you, and I started just kind of band-aiding some rooms a little bit, and then it got bigger and bigger, and people wanted more rooms. Then I started getting calls from like major mastering studios and things like that. So I was like, oh, I guess I better figure out how to do this right. So I got myself some software and learned how to do 3-dimensional drawing and construction documents. And fast forward, I ended up designing about 1,000 spaces.
1,000 spaces.
Yeah.
What is which one is your masterpiece?
Oh man!
Or who did you make it for? I'm just asking these questions because people who are listening on the radio,
yeah,
it's like this is always the question you kind of want to know. It's like the one where you're watching the TV show, and then there's like they put on the house that the guy goes, hey, show me the one that you're real proud of, or it's the big ornate one, or the one that you're like, oh, this just cost $20 million. Like, what's the home run?
There's quite a few.
Okay, give me one.
Well, one of the later studios I did before I retired, which now I'm not retired again because I just got pulled out this year of people.
I keep pulling you back in.
But I retired, about 5 or 6 years ago, and I had Foo Fighters' latest studio.
Okay, really?
And it's a good one. Sony PlayStation, I've done, well over 100 rooms for them, and some of those, actually, they're all very consistent. Those are really solid,
So Sony's calling you to build their room.
Yeah, I did every facility in California, and I helped them with Japan too.
Wow.
Yeah, I've done a lot of work for those guys. I mean, I nailed it for them, and they were like, the first time they called me, I just come out of my first brain surgery. I wasn't supposed to be working. Yeah. And they're like, hey, can you come down? We called you before, but we didn't have any money, but we have a project. I was like, yeah, I'll go down. I'm still on pain pills, Yeah. I walked in and they're going like, you got to sign an NDA. So I did. Yeah. But basically, I ended up designing the studio for PlayStation 3, which was the first video game that was CD quality audio. Yep. High quality video. Like it was real. And it was monumental.
Well, as someone who played video games, my son plays, right? Yeah. And the headphones that we're even wearing right now became a huge part of it, right? Yeah. And like when we're talking about spatial audio or the way things sound, or you know, when you're playing a video game, you want to hear somebody crawling up behind you and all of that kind of stuff.
The whole Atmos thing. I did. Yeah. I worked with Dolby on their Atmos thing too.
Did you really?
Yeah, they commissioned me to design a speaker for them to do their science, like the development of their stuff. So they couldn't find a speaker that met the spec, and I did it for them. But
you are so
back
just
to
sitting.
this.
By the way, sitting across from you. I mean, I wanted to have you in for just this very reason, because it's like there's so many people in this valley that have these incredible stories. Like your story is absolutely mind blowing.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows, right?
What I'm doing.
But that's why I wanted to have you in here. You're
I'm pretty reclusive.
You are, but
I mean, they kind of know
you're
because of
humble.
Lost Chord, and I'm just private, you know.
I know, but I wanted to put you out on Front Street because part of the thing that I wanted to do with that, in all honesty, is music and sound and things like that. You know, everybody who's listening to it right now, it's a very transferable medium. I mean,
it is
for thousands. I mean, let's just make it flat out. For the last, let's say, 150 years, sound has, before that, it was you were either in the room or you weren't. Right. And then a record player came along, and we needed to record that somewhere so we could transfer it and put it in someone else's room, and you feel like you're there.
Yep. And
the fact that what you're doing is you're basically making these little churches, if you will, where people can go in, record the sound the way they feel it, the way they think about it, the way they're experiencing it, and have that translate from that room into a record or onto a CD or into your phone, so that someplace, somebody can lay back in their bed, put on their headphones, or even, drive in their car or do whatever and be transported and feel what they were feeling in that room. And I think that's such an interesting part of what you do, because when you say you made 1,000 of these rooms, it is absolutely mind-blowing to me.
It's been fun, and I've got to meet, Jeff Bridges hired me to do one for him.
Yeah.
Because he decided...
Let's talk about that.
He decided that he wanted to have a recording studio because he was always into music. And he called me, and I was at a studio I had done in Santa Barbara called
a very musical family, by the way.
Jeff. Yeah,
Jeff. The Bridges, all of them.
Oh, yeah, they really are. And... I was talking about PlayStation for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to say that those were high pressure projects, because they would do one game, and in 6 months after release, it would net $1 billion.
Sure.
So if I didn't get it right, that was some,
Well,
and
even today, if you take all of music, all of TV, all of movies,
right,
and you put them all together,
they don't touch the games.
They don't touch the games.
No.
Like billions of... Yeah, thank you. By the way, I know I'm too close.
Just a little bit. But so this first job that I did for those guys, they called me up, and I went down there, and the guy was like, he's now a dear friend of mine. He goes, well, we already have somebody that's a designer that we've hired, but we just wanted to talk to you because, we're doing something on a higher level. I go, what, you want me to just give you a high bid? So you can, why am I here? Let's just go eat lunch. Because I didn't think, I wasn't supposed to be working yet. I was still on the mend from the thing, He goes, well, no, tell me what you think. So I said, okay. And he showed me the space. It's about, 20,000 square feet or something. And so I just opened up my computer, and I'm still high on painkillers. And I just said, I would kind of make it flow like a river, and I started designing this studio for him. I said, I'd do something like that, but how much do you want me to bid so that the other guy gets the job? And he goes, I'm firing him. And I went, what? He goes, yeah. I want you to do it. He goes, I want you to give me a real bid to do the job. And then he told me what it was. Yeah. And nailed it for him. I designed all the speakers for them, and it became like the gold standard of audio game studios. Yep. And that was the first one I did. And then I've done a whole bunch of their facilities all over the place. And that particular one was in the flight base of a Miramar naval base.
Yeah, I know exactly what
that is. So I got, F-18s and Huey helicopters literally shaking the ground and setting off car alarms. And they're like, I'm negotiating the job, and the facilities director starts talking, and all of a sudden, we can't talk. Yeah. She goes, can you fix that? And I said, can you afford it? And she said, we're Sony, we can afford anything. And I said, then I can fix it. And I did.
Keys to the toy box.
I did. And I did a second studio in the same place. I'm like, if you're
why here?
Sony,
why here?
Because this is where we want to be.
Got it.
So anyways, that's how the whole Sony thing happened. And it's been great. And, I ended up doing a lot of pretty high profile mastering studios that were very famous that everybody went to. And Jeff hires me.
Because that's a whole different world, right? Mastering a record is totally different than that. I don't want to get off a tangent because I want to talk about
it. Shouldn't
Jeff
be.
Bridges,
Everyone's like, oh, well, this is a mastering studio and this is a control room. It's like, it should be accurate and musical.
Got it.
You should be able to enjoy the music, but hear it in a very articulate way that holds to a barometer. Like, I think I really helped develop what the barometer was, because I was one of the first people that really looked at the decay analysis of a room from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. That's how long those frequencies sustain in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And most people were like, well, you can't really control the bottom end, so you just EQ that. Well, I started getting really aggressive about physically controlling that. So the rooms actually started becoming much more responsive and neutral, and the low frequency became more profound and pronounced. And to me, I don't care if it's your living room. Like, I've done a lot of private, like, homes that I treat the same way I treat a control room or a mix room. And it's like, wow, once you hear it that way,
it changes you.
You don't want to hear it any other way.
Totally agree. It's like the difference between a 4K TV and a standard def, right?
Pretty soon you just kind of go, I don't want to listen to that anymore.
Exactly right.
And there's some good headphones out there. And anyways, so Jeff hires me, and I was like, my wife says, Jeff Bridges called. I think it's the actor. Kind of sounded like him. I'm like, what does he want with me? And I had just come from some executive from Sony or from Disney who wanted me to tweak his living room. He wanted me to make it sound like he was sitting in between the speakers, but he wanted to sit outside the speakers. And I'm like, I can't do that. He's, well, what can you do? And I'm like, this is such a waste of time, this guy. He goes, I need to sit here on the couch where I'm by my phone. I go, well, then move the couch.
Move the phone.
I don't want to move the couch. I want it to sound, and, everyone said, you're the guy. I said, I'm the guy that's going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
He goes, well, what if I just move it a little between them? I said, the more toward the middle you get, the more it's going to sound like you're in the middle. Mm-hmm. And we can do,
can't cheat physics.
We can do a little bit like the trajectory of the speakers. So I did that, and he was like, okay, and he gave me $1,000 or something. Yeah. And a couple of days later, I get the call from Jeff Bridges. I'm like, oh, another movie guy.
Right.
I was kind of like, it took me a sec. I called him like a couple of days later or something. I was not sure what to think. And I get him on the phone. He was just so excited. He's like, can you come over now? I said, yeah. So I went over there, and he comes in. I go, why do you want a studio anyways? He goes, oh, I'm into music. Look at this. And he brings out this songbook that was like the Yellow Pages of all these songs that he'd written and his friends had written. And he goes, you play guitar? I said, I do. So before we started talking about the studio, we start playing guitars and singing and stuff. I'm like, this guy loves music.
That's awesome.
And he's really cool. And we connected, we clicked. We've
it's been so great to hear.
We've been best buddies, forever now, ever since that. I mean, that was kind of the start of it. Then I built him an amazing studio up in what, was Kenny Loggins' place that he sold to Jeff when Jeff first moved here. So we finished the studio, and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to teach you how to use this a little bit. He's like, he wasn't ever going to be like that guy.
Yeah, I get it.
Because most of the people I build a studio for, and I kind of like show them how the car works and what buttons, and they go, okay, got it. And they call me a little bit. And he was just like, I go, I'll tell you what, I'll produce, because I was a producer, Mm-hmm. And I kept playing and recording, even though my other career was dominating my time. But I still kept my chops up.
You're making Huey's quiet. You got it. Yeah.
So when Jeff said, I said, well, I'll produce a couple tracks for you, just so you can kind of see how things work and see how it goes and understand how the parts of the studio. So I cut a couple tracks, and Michael McDonald had come into town, called me. He was living in Nashville at the time. He says, hey, you want to go to Rose Cafe? So I kind of sheepishly said, I'd sure like it if you played keyboard on this record of, that I'm producing. He goes, what? He goes, oh yeah, what is it? I go, I never really asked you. He goes, I know, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Because everybody's asking Mike to do stuff. And I said, oh, it's Jeff Bridges. He goes, the actor. I go, yeah. He goes, and he kind of had the same reaction. He goes, man, he goes, I just don't know if I
every actor wants to be a musician.
No, he didn't say that. But I think he might have been. He goes, I've been so busy with this stuff, I just don't know. He goes, but I'd like to hear what you're doing. I go, well, I'm on my way up there after this. Come with me. And he went up there and he heard the tracks I was doing. He goes, He goes, I see why you want to do this. This is
Good stuff.
This is really good. Yeah. I mean, and I'd known Mike. He's like my oldest friend in the business.
My buddy Jared is a huge Michael McDonald fan.
Everybody.
Huge.
Who isn't?
Huge.
He's the best, man.
Yeah, but,
and he's
but
also,
Jared was not of that era, in all honesty. Jared's
really?
a younger guy and just loves that music.
Mike is so, he's just real all the way around. He's really as nice as you would imagine. He's the coolest. He's been a dear friend of mine for, I don't know. He said 50 years. I don't know if it's that long. But it's been a long time.
Wow.
Maybe not quite 50, but 40 something.
Yep.
Anyways, so he goes, I can totally see why you want to do this. He goes, this is really interesting stuff. He goes, I want to help. So next thing you know, he's flying out every week. He's playing keyboards. And there was this one moment where on one of the songs called Choke, I just heard this line. Standing on the free throw line. Na, 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 na. I go, Mike, do you think you could sing that? And he's like, yeah. All of a sudden, he stacks up a big Michael McDonald background. Now he's singing all over the record. He's playing. We're out surfing together. Warner Brothers had just dropped his album that he was in the midst of making.
Yeah.
And he's like, why don't we just form a label? And he knew that I kind of knew how to do all that because he saw me do it by myself. So we ended up forming Ramp Records. We put out Jeff's record and Michael's Be Here Soon record. We finished that record. And we did Ramp Records, and Jeff and I went on tour with Mike, to promote that stuff. And Michael blew up. He had 5 top 10 smooth jazz singles off that record. And,
awesome.
And so that's how that whole thing happened with the Ramp Records. And then, we did that tour with Mike, and Jeff went back to being an actor.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, that was fun.
I actually saw you guys on The Tonight Show.
Well, that was... Okay, that's later because next thing you know, Jeff calls me and says, by the way, that song Angels Are Crying that I sent you, Jeff calls me and says, hey, man, I'm doing this movie. T-Bone Burnett's doing the music. He goes, see if you can write a song for it. I'll send you the script. And I said, cool. So I wrote the song, stayed up all night, and I did all the Crosby, Stills, Nash harmonies on it. And I was like, man, this is the song. This is the movie.
Yeah.
I sent it to him. I don't hear anything. For 4 days, and I'm like, oh, I know what this means. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not letting him off the hook though. I'm calling, hey man, oh hey, what's going on? I said, hey, what's going on with that song? He goes, oh yeah, the song. I'm like, yeah,
man, I worked hard on this thing.
I mean, I knew, but it was like, he goes, yeah, they just didn't really feel like it was right for the movie. They said it was too on the nose, like it was too much about the movie, which.
Okay.
Whatever. Maybe they just didn't like it. Doesn't even matter because I ended up writing the song because of that. And now when I go out and play, that's one of the songs people who come and hear me
want to hear.
They want to hear that song, man. And it's a great.
It's become yours. Honestly, it's
your
song.
I would have never written it, so I'm grateful for that. And then Ryan Bingham ended up, getting the title track and won an Academy Award. And he went from sleeping in his station wagon to being
really.
He just did the bowl,
Yeah.
And he's great, man. I always joke. I go, and I'm not bitter. I always joke when I'm on stage, which I'm really not, because I didn't need it nearly as much.
Sure. You weren't sleeping in your car.
I didn't need it at all.
Yeah.
That way, but he really kind of did. And he's a great guy. He's a great artist. And I was really happy for him, and I love the song. I think I might put a version of his song on my record.
Awesome.
The weary kind, I do a piano version of it that's kind of cool. It's very different. But anyway, so that's the how the Abiders that you saw us on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
So that movie happens. Jeff calls me up and says, I got all these offers because now everybody thinks I'm a musician,
right.
or whatever. Didn't quite say it that way, but
But that was also a great movie as well.
Great movie, and then people were really ready to see him. So I don't think they expected to get what they got because we put together a legit band with great players. And Jeff worked his butt off, man. He became as legit of a recording artist, performer as anybody. We went out, we played Stagecoach at
Coachella.
Yeah, we broke the record on the Palomino stage. That was a 10,000 person stage. 13,000 people came. We did Buffalo Chips with Stevie Nicks and Fogerty, and playing to 35,000 people. And every show we did was sold out.
In Sturgis, right?
In Sturgis.
Yeah, I saw that show.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
It was amazing, you know.
That, by the way, that's a unbelievable venue.
It's fun.
It is. I mean, you look into a sea of people and
yeah.
motorcycles and guys doing burnouts.
Yeah,
and
they
just,
don't clap. They rev
the Harleys,
yeah.
and it's just a sea of people.
It was really, yeah.
Ozzy plays that stage.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
crazy.
really, it was. So we did some of that. We did, you know, we played the Maverick, we played Lost Chord, we played everything in between, and
I was at the Mav show too.
Were you?
Yes,
that was pretty fun. Yeah, that, you know, really good times there. And I played there with my band. We did pretty good. We did about 150 people or something in there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so going out and touring with Jeff, what surprised people, even some guy in Chicago wrote this thing, goes, I don't think anyone saw this coming. We all thought we were going to watch the dude tell stories from some couch, and we got like a real band.
Yep.
And Jeff fronted the band great, and everybody in the band.
What was the name of that show?
That show in Chicago was at the...
that was kind of a big deal.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we played a lot of those theaters.
But he's like wearing the sweater and did the whole thing, and then it's like, hey, let's play some music, and it was awesome.
I don't think people realized they were coming to see a bunch of studio players that put a real band together and went out on the road, and you know, we were...
You bought a ticket for that, and you got way, way, way more.
Yeah, it surprised people, but then it was good because then our guarantees went up, and all those people... We went and did those same venues 2-3 times, and every time the guarantee went up.
That's
and we
awesome.
sold them out. And yeah, that was a really good 10 plus years of my life touring and doing those kind of shows. And yeah, I mean,
perfect.
I know I can go on and on about all this stuff, but
Chris,
I do want to. Do I have a second to talk about my new record?
That's exactly what I wanted to have you do.
Because now, you know.
Tell people where they can find it. I mean,
right now, there's...
plug Lost Chord, plug your. This is the plug session, right?
Lost Chord Guitars, you know, we've had great shows there. It's also an audio video recording studio. It's going to be more of that moving forward. But I was open 5 nights a week, and I was having just, you know, all kinds of different people come in. But it just needs to be open when I have a show that is going to
bring them in,
and people, you know, a ticketed show. It's not really a bar.
Yep.
You know, and it, you know, people would come in to hear great musicians, but they're kind of on the upcoming thing, and they're like, oh, I got to pay $10. Like, yeah, so they got to get paid.
Yeah.
So I realized that it's just not. I need to go back to when I first started, which was, you know, having, you know, we had Kenny Loggins at New Year's Eve, and Jeff played, and Rob DeLeo from Stone Temple Pilots, and oops, sorry about that. Anyways, so moving forward, you know, I got Marcus Eaton's coming, I think, on the 16th. He was Crosby's guitar. Crosby calls me and says, I found the best guitar player in the world. It's Marcus Eaton. You know, so he's coming, and then Astrid Young is coming at the end of the month. That's Neil's sister.
Yep.
She's great.
Wow.
And so we're open when there's a reason to be open now.
Yep.
You know, it's not the place to go and hear people play music, and, you know, which I wish it could be, but, you know, if I could get 80 people a night coming in to do that, that would be one thing. But it's, you know, it's a small town.
Yep.
You know,
sure is.
But anyways, my record, Beautiful Life, is out. You can get it on Spotify. It's just me singing and playing live into one microphone. Like I could do it for you right here.
Back to basics.
Totally mono, one take, no comping, no pitch correct, no fake stuff.
Awesome.
And then Michael played B3 organ. Mike McDonald played B3 organ and did background vocals for me. And that's the whole song. That's it, man. That's all. Did you hear it?
I did. I loved it. That's amazing.
So that's out.
Who says Michael McDonald is their background singer? Give me a break.
Well, back in the 80s, everybody, because he sang on everybody's record, you know. But, you know, I've never really asked him to play or sing on anything of mine before. Yeah. But he was making comment. He goes, oh, I think that might be the best song you've written, you know. And he goes, I really like that line about, you know, beauty of a setting sun, it never lasts. And there's a line in there that says, some things you just got to let go, because the tighter you squeeze, the less you hold, you know. And I was like, well, I got some background parts in mind. If he goes, do you want me to sing on it? I was like, yeah.
Yes, I do.
And so he did, you know, and it was like a huge honor. And I'm, you know, man,
what a story.
I'm so grateful. I mean, as long as I've known him, I've asked him to sing on other things for other people like Jeff or Carly Joe Jackson. Great record. He ended up hiring her to sing on his record. So awesome. I knew did a
Did
good
something right,
thing
yeah.
when I had him sing on her record, you know, and then she came and sang on his. And she's on my record also, on Angels Are Crying. She's all the backgrounds, that big choir gospel thing.
Yep.
It's all Carly Joe.
Beautiful.
And me, I got one little voice. It's mostly Carly.
So say the name of the album one more time.
Well, the name of the album I haven't decided yet, but there's only one single out right now, and it's called Beautiful Life.
Okay.
Chris Pelonis. And every time somebody plays it on Spotify or something, I get 0.003 cents.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put it on auto repeat for you.
Please, yeah. And everybody listening, it'd be great if you share it and all that stuff. There's a video. It's kind of a soft release. I got a video coming that's really cool. And that's gonna be more of the official release. But it is out there. Haven't decided what the next song is. It might be Angels Are Crying. I kind of like that one. And that's real basic. It's, again, all these songs start with me either with a guitar singing and playing into one mic or piano singing and playing live. And then everything, some of it's going to be just that. And then some of it's going to be like, you know, the thing, me and Greg Lease or me and Mike or me and Carly's the only other person on Angels because I played the guitar and the piano. And I thought about putting bass on it. My Lease is doing it fretless right now. I don't know if I'm going to put it on there or not, but I'm starting from totally me, right?
Yep.
We out of time?
We're out of time.
All right, man. Well, thank you.
Well, Chris, I want to say, number one, thank you for coming out of the shadows. Because, I mean, in all honesty, having you here has been a real treat for me because it's like you've shaped so many things over time, right? Not only, you know, food, music, producing, building studios, you know, touring, everything that you do. And I just want you to be one of the people that are in this valley that people can recognize the greatness.
Well, thank you, man.
I mean,
I'm going to be going back into the shadows now.
I know.
I came out of the shadows to really get Lost Chord going, and you know, I appreciate being part of the community and getting to know people.
That's the point, right?
Yeah.
We're a local, you know, it's a local radio station. It's local people.
It's cool.
And I think that some people need to, if I got to grab you and drag you out of the shadows and get you on the mic so other people can know what you do and who you are.
I really appreciate it. It's not that I'm opposed to that. I'm just not very good at it.
I know.
I'm that guy that's like, okay, now I'm going to go sit in my studio and work on my record.
I know.
You know, I'm
listen,
designing again and all that stuff.
Here's the thing. We're going to, this is going out on the radio on 10 a.m. Saturday morning, but then I'll put it up on a podcast later. But I just wanted to say thank you for coming in. Thank you for making not only our community a better place with like Lost Chord, but also, you know, you can put art on your walls and you decorate your home. But if you turn a record on inside of your house and let the music fill your decorating time, and I think that's what you have truly done such a great job of.
Well, those are nice words, man. Thank you.
No
Appreciate
problem.
that. And Sadie was pretty good.
She was great. I love her.
Yeah, she isn't always.
She's perfect. Nailed it. Hey, everybody. This has been Keith Saarloos on Crazy Country with Chris Pelonis, the Da Vinci of sound. Back to your regularly scheduled programming on Crazy Country 105.9.